Netanyahu also met with a group of Republican lawmakers in Jerusalem earlier today. He warned that there will be enormous implications for U.S. security if Israel loses the war. Joining me now to discuss the latest developments in the Israel-Hamas war is retired Lieutenant Colonel Daaron Gaaub. He's an international military strategist. Daaron Gaaub, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you back on the show.
As always, great to join you. Thank you.
Now, Israel, as well as U.S. troops who are serving in the Middle East, are bracing for a potential attack by Iran following the attack in Damascus. Now, how likely are we to see Iran launch an attack, or are we more likely to see more proxy wars?
I would expect more of a proxy war expansion. Specifically, I mean, Hezbollah, maybe the Houthi rebels, but based on the fact that this is more Israel than anything else, then the U.S. is not necessarily specifically directly involved in that one. I would expect something along the lines of a Hezbollah being used. Iran's not necessarily going to want to put their fingerprints directly on this just yet. I would give it greater odds for Hezbollah. However, I would reserve the right to say that Iran has now seen their leadership directly attacked in Syria. They may look at this as a necessary action on their part to get more directly involved and more heavily involved as a nation. So, but I'm going to lean more towards proxies for now.
Now, we have seen that Russia and China have come out supporting Iran in what they call a retaliatory strike against Israel, but we saw no such statement following the October 7th massacre in Israel. Now, what is considered a lawful target based on international law?
Well, let's start with the assumption that there is such a thing as international law that's enforceable. And I think having multiple years in combat myself, I'll tell you that international law kind of stops whenever you have national priorities and interests at heart. So let's go ahead with international law as an assumption that it's enforceable and say what is a legitimate target is a military type activity in a uniform conducting those types of military activities, or specifically supporting military activities in the region. And so that's really all a lawful target is. And the hard part is in Gaza, nobody's really wearing uniforms for the most part. Everybody generally looks the same. To differentiate targets in a highly contested and highly compact but heavily populated area is extremely difficult on the best of days. So the fog of war and everything else that you can put into this makes it extremely difficult. And the fact that there hasn't been more of this, it's been a surprise to me. Israel has done extremely well. And we have to remember that none of this would have happened or would even be necessary if Hamas had never attacked on October 7th in the first place.